14 lions surrounded the calf. They had worked with the patient coordination that makes lions Africa's most successful large predators. They had separated the young elephant from its mother during the chaos of a waterhole approach. They had cut off escape routes, isolated their target, and begun the slow process of wearing down prey that even at 6 months old outweighed any individual attacker. The calf screamed. The sound carried across the savanna, a cry of terror that evolution had designed for exactly this purpose. Somewhere in that call was a frequency that reached directly into the brain of every elephant within hearing range, bypassing conscious thought and triggering responses programmed across millions of years of maternal evolution. The mother heard. What happened next would test every assumption about the relationship between predator and prey. It would demonstrate capabilities that even experienced researchers rarely witness. It would prove that a mother's love, when backed by 6 tons of muscle and fury, can overcome odds that mathematics would call impossible. 1 elephant against 14 lions. 1 mother against a pride determined to kill her child. Welcome to Wildlife AI Stories. Tonight, we witness one of nature's most dramatic confrontations. We explore the science behind elephant maternal behavior, the social dynamics of lion hunting, and the extraordinary events that unfold when an unstoppable force of maternal protection meets the most dangerous predators on the African plains. This is a mother's fury, and nothing will stand in her way. The African elephant, Loxodonta africana, holds the distinction of being the largest land animal currently walking the earth. Adult females typically weigh between 6,000 and 8,000 pounds, while males can exceed 14,000 pounds, standing up to 13 feet at the shoulder. These creatures dominate every landscape they inhabit through sheer physical presence. But size represents only the most obvious of elephant attributes. Their intelligence ranks among the highest in the animal kingdom. Elephants demonstrate self-awareness, passing the mirror recognition test that only a handful of species can claim. They use tools, solve complex problems, and display emotional responses that include apparent grief, joy, and what researchers cautiously describe as empathy. Their social structures reflect this cognitive sophistication. Elephant herds are matriarchal, led by the oldest and most experienced female whose accumulated knowledge guides the group through challenges, ranging from drought to predation. Family bonds persist across decades, with daughters remaining with their mothers for life and sons maintaining connections even after reaching independence. The maternal bond in elephants may be the strongest in the animal kingdom. Elephant mothers invest more time in raising offspring than almost any other terrestrial mammal. Calves nurse for up to 6 years and remain dependent on maternal guidance for over a decade. Mothers teach their young which plants to eat, where to find water during dry seasons, how to navigate social situations within the herd, and how to respond to threats. This investment creates bonds that mothers defend with absolute commitment. Elephant mothers have been documented standing over dead calves for days, refusing to abandon their offspring even when all hope has passed. They have attacked vehicles, fought crocodiles, and confronted human hunters to protect young that represent years of reproductive investment. When lions threaten an elephant calf, they trigger responses that no calculation of odds can deter. The lion pride represents Africa's most formidable cooperative hunting unit. Unlike solitary predators that must bring down prey alone, lions combine their strength, coordinate their strategies, and share both the risks and rewards of hunting dangerous game. A typical pride includes multiple adult females, their cubs, and a coalition of adult males who provide protection rather than primary hunting effort. The females, closely related through maternal lines, develop hunting coordination over years of practice. They learn each other's tendencies, assign roles based on individual strengths, and execute strategies that exceed what any individual could accomplish. 14 lions represent an unusually large hunting party, likely combining females from an extended pride with perhaps some young males still learning the hunting trade. Such numbers provide overwhelming advantage against most prey. Buffalo, zebra, wildebeest, even giraffe can fall to coordinated attacks by such a force. But elephants occupy a different category entirely. Adult elephants have no natural predators. Their size, their intelligence, and their defensive capabilities make them essentially invulnerable to any predator once they reach maturity. Lions that attack adult elephants face virtually certain death, trampled or impaled by creatures that outweigh entire prides combined. Calves, however, present different calculations. Young elephants, particularly those under 2 years old, weigh a fraction of adult mass. They lack the tusks that adult females use as weapons. Their hides, though thick by most standards, remain vulnerable to lion claws and teeth, and their inexperience may lead them into situations where adult protection cannot immediately reach them. Lions have learned to exploit these vulnerabilities. They watch elephant herds for signs of separation between mothers and calves. They test defensive responses, probing for weaknesses in herd protection. They target the moments when young elephants venture too far from adult guardians. The strategy carries enormous risk but offers enormous reward. A successful elephant calf kill can feed a pride for a week or more. The caloric return justifies efforts that would be wasted on smaller, more easily obtained prey. The lions that surrounded this calf had made their calculation. 14 hunters against one calf seemed like odds no mother could overcome. They had not calculated the fury. The attack began with classic lion tactics applied to elephant hunting. The herd included 6 adult females, 2 juveniles, and 1 calf approximately 6 months old. The calf stayed close to its mother under normal circumstances but showed the curiosity and wandering tendency typical of its age. They spread across a wide arc, hidden in grass tall enough to conceal their flattened bodies. They waited with the patience that successful hunting demands. The elephants approached as expected, their massive forms moving with the deliberate pace of creatures who fear almost nothing. The matriarch led, her experience guiding the herd along safe routes she had used for decades. The other females followed, with the mother of the calf bringing up the rear. The calf, thirsty and eager, pushed ahead of its mother, toward the water it could smell. The lions exploded from concealment. The attack was not aimed at killing immediately, but at separation. Lions rushed at the adult elephants from multiple angles, creating chaos and triggering flight responses that the herd could not coordinate against. The elephants scattered in different directions, each individual reacting to the nearest threat. In the confusion, the calf found itself cut off from its mother by a wall of attacking predators. Within seconds, the situation had transformed from approach to crises. The mother stood 40 meters away, blocked by predators who positioned themselves specifically to prevent her intervention. The calf screamed. What happened next demonstrated why elephant maternal aggression is considered among the most dangerous phenomena in the African bush. The mother did not hesitate. She did not calculate odds or assess risks. The sound of her calf's distress triggered responses that bypassed rational evaluation entirely. Millions of years of evolution had programmed one response to that sound: attack. She charged directly at the lions blocking her path to her calf. Her ears spread wide, her trunk raised, her 6-ton body accelerating 2 speeds that seem impossible for creatures of such mass. Elephants can reach 25 miles per hour in short bursts, and she achieved that speed within the first few strides. The lions in her path scattered. Even the most experienced hunters recognized that standing before a charging elephant meant certain death. They leaped aside as she thundered past, her feet striking the ground with impacts that observers could feel through the soles of their boots. She reached the circle surrounding her calf within seconds of beginning her charge. The lions had expected adult intervention and had prepared responses. They scattered at her approach but did not flee entirely. Their strategy shifted to harassment, attempting to distract the mother while others maintained pressure on the calf. If they could wear her down, exhaust her, perhaps create an opening for a quick attack, the hunt might still succeed. They had underestimated what they faced. For the next 47 minutes, according to observers who documented the encounter, the mother elephant fought continuously against 14 lions determined to kill her calf. She positioned herself between her calf and every attack, her massive body serving as shield against predators who could not reach their target without passing her. When lions circled to approach from behind, she spun with agility that belied her size, always keeping herself between threat and offspring. She used her trunk as a weapon, swinging the muscular appendage with force sufficient to send adult lions tumbling through the air. One lion struck by a trunk blow did not rise again, its ribs shattered by an impact equivalent to being hit by a swinging tree trunk. She used her tusks, short by female standards but still deadly, thrusting at any lion that came within reach. The tusks could not catch the agile cats, but they forced the predators to maintain distance that prevented effective attack. She used her feet, stamping at lions that attempted to dart beneath her to reach the calf huddled against her hindquarters. Elephant feet can crush bone with casual steps. Deliberate stamps delivered force that no lion skeleton could withstand. The lions adapted their tactics repeatedly. They tried rushing in groups from multiple angles. The mother responded to each threat in turn, prioritizing those closest to her calf, trusting her calf to stay pressed against her body while she faced outward. They tried waiting, conserving energy while she expended hers. She did not tire, adrenaline and maternal fury providing reserves that normal physiology would not predict. They tried noise, roaring to intimidate and confuse. Elephants that have decided to fight are not intimidated by sounds. She answered their roars with trumpeting that seemed to shake the air itself. Calls of defiance that carried 4 miles across the savanna. One by one, the lions abandoned the hunt. The engagement extracted prices from both sides that would persist long after the immediate confrontation ended. The mother bore wounds across her legs and flanks where lion claws had found purchase during close pasand. None of the injuries reached critical structures, but blood loss and infection risk would challenge her recovery in the days ahead. Her trunk showed swelling where a lion bite had punctured the sensitive tissue. Her energy reserves had been depleted by nearly an hour of continuous combat. The lions fared worse. Beyond the single fatality from the trunk blow, at least 3 other pride members showed injuries that would impair hunting for weeks. One lioness limped heavily, her foreleg damaged by a glancing blow from an elephant foot. Another bore a gash across her shoulder from a tusk strike that came closer to connecting than she likely realized. A young male had been stepped on during an ill-timed attack from below, his ribs bruised if not cracked. The remaining lions had learned a lesson that would influence their hunting decisions for years. This particular mother, this particular calf, represented prey too costly to pursue. Other elephants might prove more vulnerable, other calves less fiercely defended, but this pair had been marked as untouchable in the minds of predators who had tested them and lost. The calf emerged without significant injury, its mother's defense having succeeded completely in its primary objective. Whatever psychological impact the experience created would be processed through an elephant mind capable of remembering this day for the remaining decades of its life. It would remember that its mother fought for it. That lesson, too, would influence behavior across the years ahead. The engagement extracted prices from both sides that would persist long after the immediate confrontation ended. The mother bore wounds across her legs and flanks where lion claws had found purchase during close pasand. None of the injuries reached critical structures, but blood loss and infection risk would challenge her recovery in the days ahead. Her trunk showed swelling where a lion bite had punctured the sensitive tissue. Her energy reserves had been depleted by nearly an hour of continuous combat. The lions fared worse. Beyond the single fatality from the trunk blow, at least 3 other pride members showed injuries that would impair hunting for weeks. One lioness limped heavily, her foreleg damaged by a glancing blow from an elephant foot. Another bore a gash across her shoulder from a tusk strike that came closer to connecting than she likely realized. A young male had been stepped on during an ill-timed attack from below, his ribs bruised if not cracked. The remaining lions had learned a lesson that would influence their hunting decisions for years. This particular mother, this particular calf, represented prey too costly to pursue. Other elephants might prove more vulnerable, other calves less fiercely defended, but this pair had been marked as untouchable in the minds of predators who had tested them and lost. The calf emerged without significant injury, its mother's defense having succeeded completely in its primary objective. Whatever psychological impact the experience created would be processed through an elephant mind capable of remembering this day for the remaining decades of its life. It would remember that its mother fought for it. That lesson, too, would influence behavior across the years ahead. The mother and calf rejoined their herd the following morning. The other females had gathered at a location they had used as a reassembly point before, their own experience guiding them to where separated members could reunite. The reunion involved extensive physical contact, trunks touching and intertwining in greeting rituals that researchers interpret as reassurance behavior. The other females examined the mother's wounds with their trunks, gentle touches that seemed to assess damage and perhaps offer comfort. The calf received particular attention, adults seeming to confirm its survival through repeated tactile investigation. Elephant herds often respond to member injuries with behavior that resembles nursing. They slow their pace to accommodate wounded individuals. They position themselves protectively around vulnerable members. They share food and water access in ways that prioritize those in need. The mother received this care from her herd. Her wounds were cleaned by trunk touches that removed debris. Her calf was monitored by other females who would alert her to any threat while she recovered. The social bonds that define elephant society closed around her like protective armor. She would survive her injuries. The calf would survive its trauma, and the herd would continue its eternal journey across the savanna, diminished by nothing but strengthened by the knowledge of what they could overcome.